Hello, it's Joey, and today I am filling a page in this glue book as part of a monthly challenge. So I'm going to be collaging with a prompt, and I'm going to be creating a page as part of my monthly glue book collage challenge, whilst having a go at sharing a few tips and ideas. So we're going to be collaging with a prompt, and the prompt today is Hello October. So I thought we'd kick that off with whatever that means to you. What does October mean to you? What sort of colours do you have in your world? What sort of textures are around you? What images does that invoke? What does it make you think of? And how might you create a page that just encapsulates that? So in this glue book, which I have been having a lot of fun filling and using the pages to make various journal cards, I just had a go at letting my creative juices flow, and well, this sort of happened. So what I thought I would do today is use some of these sumptuous colours of red and gold and the mushrooms. I've got some lovely supplies around me. I've got book pages, I've got scrap paper, and I've got labels, and I thought I would share my process for creating a page like this. I have a few process steps, and they're just suggestions really to help you create your page, so feel free to take a screenshot of this, and let's just get on and have a play with our papers and create a beautiful but relaxing and unbelievably satisfying glue book collage page for October. Today's video might feel a little bit different from the videos I typically do on my channel, and well, the reason for this is, I guess, it emanates from the video where I filled this particular page, and it was so relaxing, and you seem to enjoy filling a glue book page with collage so much. I thought we could do something collagey and relaxing together. So the idea today is that you pull up a chair, get your supplies ready, maybe get a nice hot drink, get comfy, and maybe do a little bit of collage with me. If I have a few bullet points here, then they're just meant to be to give us a little bit of structure and to make life easier. They're not meant to be prescriptive. Today is all about relaxing and just enjoying those colours and textures and playing with paper and doing it in your way. So I have put a few supplies around on my desk, and I thought I'd talk you through some of the choices that I've made before we go on and I show you the process that I might take for doing just something like this. So obviously it won't be exactly the same, but I'll try to talk you through the broad sequence to create a page like this. So I have had a think about the prompt Hello October and what it means to me, and maybe that's something to start with. What does October mean to you? What colours, what textures, and what do you have in your supplies that you're really excited to use? Have you got something you haven't used for some time, something that's unloved? And what sort of colours does October evoke in your mind? Be they real in your world, or maybe just what you'd like them to be? So what I've got around me, in no particular order, because that's the way it's going to be a bit today, you're just going to see it as it is, the mess, everything on my desk. I chose to begin with some green, and they happen to be a green digital from Victoria Designs, and I just love this natural green. It's not that bright vibrant green from spring, it's that olive green, and there's a few other greens on the right hand side here, and I thought I might use one or a part of that. So I've also got some neutrals. So part of what I want to use today is some papers. You can see I've already part used this with some script on. I really like getting the handwriting and the sense of pen and ink into some of my collages. And then I've pulled out, I've got a little bit of a digital here again with vanilla colours in the background and some script. I've got some brown paper, which I think is really useful for a collage. I've got some other images, which it's as much about the colours as it is the images, but they shout autumn to me, so I really like those. I might use those. I've got some little bits of black paper that I've been splatting on, and these are great for just adding emphasis. So you can see I've pulled a a little strip off there, and I've got some pieces I might use. I've got some labels which I think are really, really great for adding to collages. So I've actually done a little bit of a job of cutting some out. So I've got a pile of them here, mostly they're cut out. And the key for me in these labels is a lot of neutral colours, but also some numbers. So numbers are really good. These are just little squares. I've got some red here, there's a lot of brown. I like to have different font styles. That's vertical. I've got script in here. I like to have black as an outline in some labels too, and I particularly wanted some black today. I thought that would work well with the red for the little toadstools or the mushrooms, not sure which. I've got a selection of, so I've done some cutting out, a selection of cute little, let's call them toadstools, which for me is what a lot of October is about, and these are some of the things that I definitely see when I go on my little walks with my dog. So I've been seeing, maybe not quite so vibrant and red, but definitely some of those. And some of the other things I thought I'd use and pick on today are some of my washi tapes. So I pulled out a deep green one, and this has got some nice squares. So that, I just like those crosshatch squares in a washi tape. I've got one with some brown. I've got a set of these very narrow ones. This one has a squiggle, and I have one with music notes, and I've got one that looks like a picket fence, we'll see that later, and I've got some green. And then some other things that are on my desk. I pulled out, I've got a little glass ramekin here, and I've got a few little images on there, they're good for tearing up. I have got Andrea and Tracy sitting around me. So I've got my pot with lovely little images and text and all sorts from Andrea Digitals. I've got an equivalent from Tracy Fox, and if needs be, I've got some paints. So really it's a mixture of, take the plastic off that, it's a mixture of supplies, and they are, apart from being super messy, they are the colours and the things that excite me. They are the textures and things that are kind of in my mind when I think about October. I think about autumn here in England. So it might vary, it'll be different wherever you are in the world. But using some of these things today, maybe some stamps, are really at the heart of what I'm going to do today. So I thought what we could do is choose a page and get going with using some of these supplies, starting with a base layer. I'm going to build a middle layer with some images, and I'm going to add a top layer of details. So I kind of think about it in those three layers. And those supplies that I just described are all of these things that you can gather, get them around you, get them at arm's length so they're easy to pull on. And I think that makes it really, really easy when it comes to creating a collage in our glue book. So let's choose a page and get going with, get comfy, get going with a base layer of neutrals. And I'm going to be greedy and start with making some dent into this little item. Let's maybe just, one of the things about collage is I think you can never really create the same page twice. So I thought today I could just share a little bit of my thought process, and wouldn't it be lovely if you could let me know if you're collaging along with me and filling a glue book, and what sort of book are you filling? What did you choose? Have you chosen an actual book? That's a big piece, isn't it? Or are you filling something that's an exercise book, as we call it, so maybe an empty one of these? I want some neutrals and some book pages and this base layer first, and I'm going to choose some of this. I don't mind if they're relatively big pieces to begin with. I can always cover up. I don't want to cover up this chap, I really like him. Shall I go under there? I'm also going to do my under-over technique as well. So I'm going to put glue broadly in the centre of some of these pieces, maybe a little bit on the edge there, and I think I'll tuck that underneath. And once you've started with a page, it will head off in its own direction anyway. It'll have a life of its own. So you can't really duplicate, sort of make any of these. If I wanted to make something like this, I mean, how could I possibly do something absolutely identical like that? I thought I would just have a go at something at least a bit similar, then you know broadly what we're aiming for. So these are the colours and the images that I wanted to use to create a happy page. So I've got a book page and it's really quite a nice yellowy one. I'm going to break some of this up. I don't want a piece as big as this. I'll have a little bit of this down here. Maybe like that. That's nice, isn't it? The text, I've got stamped typeface there. Let's get that in the corner and just a little bit of glue there. That could go on top. In fact, that actually, so, yeah, I like that on top of there. And I did have, so just a tag. So quite big pieces so far. I don't want it to feel quite so chunky. So I will break this up, I think, in a minute with some other elements. But the thing for me is to get a base layer down with some relatively neutral colours. Not necessarily just plain patterns. So it can have some focal point images in, but not too much. I've got some blank here, so I'm going to add a bit more of my book page up there. Just break up some of that. And it's time to use, I think, whatever you've got in your supplies as well. Oops, a little bit like that. What else have we got? The other thing I quite like to do with this is use some of those images that we get if we do have digitals or we have some pieces of ephemera. Then if it's neutral, I can use that as well. So why don't we, I need to fill in down here a bit. I don't want the whole thing. Get that under there. So I think already it's looking different from the one that I had to go at before. I'm trying to create something that when I rest my images on, when I add extra pictures later, they're not competing too much with what's behind them. That's the principle really at this stage. What else have I got? I think I'll have, always useful to get a bit of brown paper packaging in there. I have splattered on this and the colours are a bit vibrant, but I don't really mind, and I'm not taking a very big piece of it. In fact, there's a bit of lime green on here which goes really beautifully with this olive here. I think I'll use this to just break up some of what's going on down here. It's amazing, isn't it, that we can have a piece of paper just like this, a little piece like this, and it seems to matter quite a lot what position we put it on a page. So although we say that collage is, you know, very free, I think it can also require a bit of thought. Does that make sense? So we can end up doing some collages that we like more than others. There isn't a right and a wrong, but sometimes it feels more right than others. I think I want to just add something down here. So take a bit of that. I can always trim off later. I'm going to get a bit down there. It's a bit wide. I'm going for colour with this, not so much the image. Like that. Just get some. I don't want a straight line at the top, so I'll give that a bit of a tear. Get that on. And how quickly have we got this base layer going? It's almost too fast, isn't it? This is a gorgeous piece of digital with, I've got aubergine and green, I've got some peach colours there and yellows and some nice autumnal images coming through. So this is how it's looking so far. So just looking at this, I know I've got far too much of a main image here and I want to break that up. I think I'll have a bit more brown up there. I want to integrate that. That's good. I think it's easier to put one piece next to another than put the first piece down. There we go. Just breaking things up a bit. Tear that off. I won't worry about the edges until I come to the end when I'm going to just settle it all down. I'll add a bit more glue. What else have I got that's neutral? So into my Andrea pouch. I need to break up a bit of this. So I think I'll get that going under there. Just tearing bits up. Just breaking up some of this big area here. And now I've got a straight line, which many of you will know I don't like. I'm going to add a bit more. I like the text on this. Add a bit of that under there. That might be the wrong way up. Nope, that's the right way up. So I'll have just a little bit of that. So I hope you're having a lovely time collaging and maybe filling a page in your glue book. Do let me know what you're doing and what you're feeling about your collage page. Okay, I haven't moved on to my labels yet. I feel I still need to do a bit more work up here. And the key for me is always not to have the same thing next to each other. I don't mind having the same item on the page twice. I think I'm going to choose a different book page or a little bit of scrap. Let me grab another box. And how full is this? It's the never emptying box of stuff. A bit more text on that, that's nice. A different colour packing paper. And again, more packing paper. And a bit of dictionary page. A few more book pages, always good. This is white, but I don't mind that, even though I've got the vintage vanillas on the page. I can definitely do some breaking up with this. Okay, it's too much, so I'll just take it down. And actually I quite like that side, if you enjoy just a peaceful, relaxing collage process, maybe on a monthly basis, we'll see, please could you just drop me a comment down below and let me know, because if we want to maybe do this once a month, that would be great. Maybe with a prompt, just using up our scraps, doing something that's relevant to the month in the year, accepting that the seasons look different for many of us, so depending on where we are in the world, it's going to feel different and look different depending on where we live. I totally accept that. Do I want any text? A little bit needed down here. I might use some labels for that. Get rid of my straight line. Maybe bring that together. Bring that together there. It's quite busy, but I'm not too worried. I am okay with it so far. That can go under there. Maybe just something here to break that up. What did I take out of that? Let's see what we've got in the Andrea box. I'm not adding text yet, so that comes later. That's nice, it's got some numbers on. Bit of postcard. That's a nice one. It's a nice one, and it's got black on as well, so that would do a bit of breaking up on here. That's good. Put that on and just tuck that under. Remember, we didn't put glue all the way to the edge. I don't mind that I've got straight lines here, because I can deal with that with the next layer. This is our base layer. So maybe we should just take a peek at this and see what we're going to add as our middle layer. So the next thing I'm going to do is add some images, and I've chosen a 5 or 6 of the little red toadstools. These are from a digital from Barbara 49 Dragonflies, and I've just done my homework and cut them out. I've got a variety of different shapes and sizes, and that's what I want here. So I want some contrast on the page, and I want to spread them out because I do use my glue book pages to cut up. I don't know what I have handy. I've been playing at making from a collaged page some little Christmas cards just on some natural craft cardstock. So if I spread them out, I don't want it to be too regular, but it does mean I'll be able to cut the page up and do something with this. So what I'm going to do is distribute these, maybe that one, maybe that one too. I'm feeling a bit greedy, I want them all on the page. I'm going to start just gluing some down, but again, not putting glue everywhere, but I thought it'd be better to use my Pritt stick at this stage. And I'm going to put them so that they overlap various edges of the pieces of collage. That's one of the little tricks I've got. And we're on step 2, we're on the middle layer, step 5 in this, adding a middle layer of images and spreading them out. So a bit of glue in the middle. Ooh, it's quite lumpy glue this. And you see I've got an edge here, so I'm going to stick him. I still want to see that black. I'm going to put him there, and fortuitously it overlaps the brown wrapping paper as well. So I'll have, there's no real rule here, I'll have him down there. I like that, he looks like he's sitting on the brown. So glue on there, again not all the way to the edge. So we're going to use the under-over technique later. Just have that a bit lower. In fact, no, it doesn't look better there, but it does look better a bit lower. So I'm going over the edge of this label. Got two of the orange ones and a deep red one up there. I've got a nice bright red one here. So I think he can go. Do you want him on top or underneath? I think actually on top there, which means it's time to glue this down. Get that down. It gave me the option of going underneath by not having glued it already. So that can go, whoops, that can go on there. So again, thinking about the distribution, spreading it out, I really love the colours. The colours are just divine. I've got a baby one here, actually I like this pointy one, a different shape. So variety of shape, that's good. I can go there because it's to the left of this, so again I've not got them all in a column. And I can go over a bit of a line there, so that's over some joins of the papers. It starts to come together. How many do I need? I like this one. It's just a classic, isn't it? Can that go there? Can it tuck under the side of one? I've stuck that down, I've stuck it down. See, I don't always get it right. That would be nice under there, just a little bit. But it's too close to that. I want it on here. That's a nice neutral, but I think it's too plain. That's very similar to that, so it needs to be at a distance. So I'm going to go back to this one. Actually, are there any others? I think that can break up this big flower because we're not really into flowers for October, we're into our mushrooms. I'm going to have that on there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't want overkill, but I just love them. I want to get this one on. I think that's too much there. I think that's okay. He's going on. He's on. He's in. Right. Happy. And he's overlapping an edge as well. So there's my elements that define October, and that's part of my middle layer. And now I'm going to add some top layers of detail, which is about, for me, using labels, and there's a particular type, splattering a bit of paint, and that's optional, whatever you like. You can add handwriting and some pencil outlines, maybe a bit of stamping. So I'm going to start with adding some labels. So let's have a look what we've got. Not all cut out, but I did do a good job of getting some of these ready. And I've chosen some particular ones that have got strong font, that have got scribbly text, that have got numbers and small digits on their own, small numbers. So these are Tracy Fox, not a surprise. It is a, oh, I love it, I love it. It's a really great collection, this one. I think it's quite a recent one. So check out her Etsy store if you like any of these. I don't make any digis myself, but I love using them. I love using them. Is the word circumspect, making sure I want to really get the best out of them, but still using a lot of basic household supplies. Basic supplies is what I really like. Just mixing up with some other images. I think if there's a space, get that under there, take it to the edge. I'm just going to distribute a few of these. I know I've got a gap there, so that needs covering up. And I'm not averse to tearing them in half either. So that's a biggie. Let's take that down. Maybe once you get going on this stage, again it's a bit like launching. It helps once you've kicked off your top layer. Let's have some numbers. In fact, there's some nice black ones here. Why did I not see those? That's good. I like the text at the bottom, so I don't want the stuff at the top. Not obligatory to have it all. And you see, as soon as you add text on here, it just really brings it up a level. I love it. Love it. I love the magic of mixing it all up. Let's just push that under the mushroom, but to the right of where this piece starts, so that I can see it. And I don't want it to be on its own, so I'm going to add another one here. If you're going to add one, then think about adding another. Don't let them be lonely. That can go underneath as well. So we've brought together this, this and this, because this mushroom is slightly overlapping this one. And there's just something special that happens when we bring them together and make them connect. Some strong text on that, which I do really like. Is that one? Yes, we've managed to not stick it all down. So that'd be great. That can go under there. Just like that. Let's get that underneath. Remembering that we said we might cut this up and make some kind of either journaling cards or put it on the front of envelopes. We can use it in all sorts of ways, so spreading out the images is quite a good thing. It's getting busy, so I need to be careful. Right, looking at the whole of this, I can see maybe something needed up here. And I want to tuck that under. Yes, that could go just a little bit under there. Tucks underneath. It reminds me of the collage cards I did, probably one of the first collage projects I did on my channel. I did some collage cards, really simple ones, using an old calendar. And I just started using this sort of under-over technique. And then it grew into using it on a much larger scale, and I did a journal cover. And I did it on an absolutely whopping scale. And I think I filled one of them with some bird images and lots of lovely ephemera. That was a lot of fun. I need to cover that up, but I'll go underneath. Get it upright. That's a nice one. It's busy, isn't it? I just like this style of collaging with, well, I don't know the term, but I'm going to call it dense collaging because there's lots on. There's lots that goes on. It's densely packed. And I do like it. I've been seeing a few pictures on Instagram of what I call densely packed collage. If it has a name, please let me know. There probably is a name. And I just really like it. You can take your time just looking across everything. It's all so busy. 2 there. How are we doing? Shall we have a little close-up look? So I can't resist one more. I might just have one more. I want to break up that line. I did say I would. So that can go on. Maybe towards the top, then it's not obviously in the middle of the side. And that is possibly it. Slide those off. Oh, there's a 19. That's a nice number. Don't know why. I think that can go on. We hadn't used any numbers, had we? Not that one. Bit on there. I think that can go on there. Okay, so what now? We've added a label or 6, so I need to add, because I feel like I want to, a little bit of splatter paint. I'm going to add some stamping and some pencil outlines. So why don't I just start with my stamp. I'll do my usual text stamp and my postmark stamps because I think they're going to work really well for this. And I mustn't forget, I think the washi will come in as well. So put those on the sides ready. So nice colours, black and white and deep green, which I think will work. Let's get these done. Bit of ginger, so a nice brown. Let's go with the rest of this. This is just for texture. I will go the right way, like that. Not too much, not too much. And we'll do a few marks. Circles are always good, aren't they? Maybe a few off the edge, on the corners, not always freshly stamped. That is probably enough. A few oopsie, a few lines. It's getting busy, need to be careful. Okay, and what else shall we have? Labels, pencil outline, splatter paint and a little bit of washi. I think I'll go for washi next. So the one I've really been enjoying using with my mushrooms is my picket fence. So it comes in a set of 10 and it's really quite narrow, but I like what it does. Maybe that way up, and I don't know why, and a bit shorter, like that. It just adds, you see this, it just adds. It's the red, it's the red and the black, I think. Maybe not too much of the same one, but why not? We can go upright, and a little bit over here, like that, and I'm going to have some music as well. So this one is little notes of music. Vertical is always good. Don't always need to have it horizontally, do we? Maybe a shorter piece. The other thing I like to do with wide washi like this is to halve it down the middle. That's always good. And I've got a botanical one, so that goes with the theme. So I'm not spending too long thinking about this. I think that's part of the fun. The magic happens. Let it just happen. A little bit of botanical. Oops. It's nice to have a couple of pieces together, like that. I guess you could do too much of this. You could gild the lily, but gosh, it would be fun trying, wouldn't it? Okay, I'm going to get my paints and do a tiny bit of splatting. I said this video would be a little bit different, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're seeing or enjoying me share the full process, really, sharing every detail and my thought process behind all of this. And my desk is suitably messy as well, so how about I share a little bit of that? You can see the mess that builds up on the right hand side, and it takes me a while to get set up for the videos. It takes me a while, definitely, to get sorted afterwards with this kind of distribution of items, all the things I've used, but it's worth it, isn't it? Is your desk messy when you finish something like this? I thought I'd add a few little splats of gold, and these need to be tiny dots, and the reason for that is this page isn't big, so I don't really want a large amount, and I want that sense of the botanicals coming through, the things that you see, the dots. You see these kind of elements on the floor of a forest, on the floor of a wood, and there's always something tiny to see when you look up close. Maybe not gold, but we can use our imagination. So I'll just have a little bit of this on here, and I also want to add a bit of black because I want some of these black features just to pop a bit more. So I'm just going to choose, this is a watercolour paint, and I need to be really careful not to overdo this. Maybe I'll just tap. It's just something that says those mushrooms are not pieces of paper now. They're real, aren't they? We've got that magic. Shall I have a little bit of brown? You see, there isn't really a rule. It's look at what you've got in your supplies and have a play. I can see that the mushrooms are not entirely stuck down, so when this is dry I might go in again and just add a bit more glue underneath the edges and just stick those down. But I think we're doing really well. How is your page coming along? Let me know. And another thing I've found really helps is adding an outline to the mushrooms. In fact, let me show you on the other page. I'll put a washi tape in there so I don't squish it. But on this one I added an outline to the mushrooms. So I thought I would just play with, I've got some pencils, these are watercolour pencils, which helps, and take any of my dark colours, maybe even the black actually if I'm feeling daring, maybe the grey, that would work well, or one of the greens. That's a nice green, that's sort of a greeny brown. These are Arteza watercolour pencils, and they're really good because they sit in an upright pot so they don't take up much space on my desk. And I've got one in the shade A111 Coyote, and I'm going to be naughty, and for speed I found that if I actually dip the pencil in the water and just go around loosely like this, I get that shade and that shadow, and it just adds a little bit of definition. Also a little bit of a chance just to play with my pencils, and I haven't done that for some time. I'm just going to go round them, scribbly, not tidy. I actually think tidy would not be right for this. Bit of scribble, I might change the colour as well. That's quite dark, isn't it? I'm going to go back in with the grey. Let's get that round it. Spread that round. It's nice. I think he can take a bit of black because there's quite a lot of black around. I am being rather liberal with the colour because for speed I'm dipping it in. Maybe what I ought to be doing, quite like that, is taking my time going around it gently and then adding water to the pencil. But I'm not. And I think I will also want a natural green. Let's find a natural green in here, that's a bit more natural. Just give each of them a bit of a base. And wouldn't this be good cut up? Could you bring yourself to cut it up? Are you going to cut yours up? What are you going to do? with your October page. And this is my gluebook collage prompt number 1, Hello October. Let me know if you've enjoyed this and if we should do it again in November. Do tell me if you fill a page yourself, because I'd love to know about it. Use the hashtag joiegluebook if you do share it on Facebook or Instagram, and I hope to see you soon.